There's an exciting new poverty-grade engine available all of a sudden for the Isuzu D-Max and MUX, and because they roll down the same production line together at Isuzu's factory in Thailand, obviously, this means ditto for the Mazda She-Max or BT-50. Executive summary. Going from 1.9 litres to 2.2 litres in the poverty diesel domain, there are healthy incremental increases in peak engine outputs and slightly less remarkable, but also improvements in fuel economy and emissions for the new engine compared with its outgoing counterpart. But it must be said, in the latter two domains of economy and emissions, only by a bee's endophallus. And they've taken this opportunity at Isuzu and Mazda to perform sundry sort of hair and makeup improvements across the range. Also, full details next. Isuzu and its bit of beauty skirt on the side, Mazda, are both somewhat overjoyed, I'm sure, to be spearing the Dickensian 1.9 litre four-cylinder entry-level engine across their 4x4 ranges. Its use-by date has expired, and thank God this new one is bigger at 2.2 litres and also more efficient, so there's that. And it's got an 8-speed auto also. They have officially speared it, but the new one is not on sale until the 1st of October, if memory serves. I'm pretty sure a dealer will fall all over himself to take your deposit any time from now until it's available on the 1st of October. They're funny like that. If you don't want to do that, you can fill out the form on my contact page on the website, link in the description, and we will do all of the negotiation for you. There's no obligation if you do that. It's just a whole lot less painful. So fear not if you're an Isuzu or D-Max fanboy, however, shopping further up in the range, because this does not mean the death of the 3-litre four-cylinder Ford JJ3 engine, which does enjoy, if you like, something of a fan base. So it's remaining, and Isuzu is not going to be keeping Chris Bowen happy with this new 2.2 because the efficiency and CO2 improvements are not revolutionary enough, frankly. They say they're going to get there through other yet-to-be-announced electrification-type upgrades to their various ranges. So there's that. Isuzu is in a bit of a poor position there in relation to the new vehicle efficiency standard. They're going to have to pedal very hard for the next few years to avoid paying substantial penalties, and I don't see this new engine as being part of the hedge there. The new engine is going to be rated as 5-star as well. So the introduction of this new engine is not going to change the crashworthiness rating of the entry-level vehicles in either of those ranges, at least as I understand it. We'll dig down into the granular details in just a sec. This report is sponsored by NordVPN. Get a mega discount plus 4 extra months for free right now with my exclusive deal. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now. Online security threats are everywhere, but you don't have to be the next victim. That's where NordVPN comes in, locking everything down securely in the background. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now. Every 2-year plan receives that huge discount plus 4 extra months of Nord for free. nordvpn.com/AEJC. Using NordVPN is easy. Just subscribe, download the app and connect. One click later, your IP address is shielded and your traffic is encrypted across as many as 6 of your devices. Nord is the fastest VPN on the planet. It costs only about as much as a single cup of coffee every month to keep your data, your identity, and your devices secure. Masking your location means you'll be able to access content and resources that might be blocked where you live. Plus, you can continue to watch your favourite content when you travel. Boost your online security at nordvpn.com/AEJC. Get that mega discount and enjoy those 4 extra months for free. It's all totally risk-free with Nord's rock-solid 30-day money-back guarantee. It's easy to stay safe online. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now. The new engine is a 4-cylinder 2.2, which is Euro 5 compliant, and it bears the designation RZ4F-TC. Presumably the TC is for turbocharged and the 4 is for 4-cylinder. Everything else is up for grabs. Who knows what they mean? If you can help out in the comments, let me know, but I don't drill down into that stuff too hard. I couldn't care less. That's what it's called, the RZ4F-TC. Anyway, it's got 120 kilowatts of peak power and 400 newton meters of peak torque. Now, Isuzu says that this new engine develops 255 newton meters from 1,000 RPM, which is 60% up on the 1.9. So with that kind of improvement, it should feel substantially stronger low down in the rev range. And they have tweaked the torque band, if you like, the peak torque band, to be ever so slightly lower, because T-max is from 1,600 to 2,400 now, previously 1,800 to 2,600. So the torque ramps up from 255 newton meters to 400 newton meters over 600 revs from 1,000 to 1,600. And that should make that engine feel pretty strong. The previous 1.9 was 110 kilowatts and 350 newton meters, so you're getting 10 more kilowatts of peak power and 50 more peak newton meters out of the new one. If you want that in percentage terms, I had a little bit of a play with the calculator. It's 9% up on peak power, which means 9% better at flat out acceleration, all other things being equal, i.e. if the mass is the same, and 14% better in the mid-range because, of course, the peak torque number is a proxy for mid-range power delivery, and it's 14% better there. So it should feel pretty strong. If you've had a Poverty Pack BT or a Poverty Pack D-Max, and you replace it with this new engine, it should feel substantially better. It's also 4x4 compatible, this new engine, which the 1.9 was not, and this opens the door to fleshing out the model ranges ever so slightly with a more poverty-focused 4x4, which could be okay if you want a 4x4 for farm use or just an adventuring vehicle without the fruit. You know what I mean? If you want to go four-wheel driving at the weekend, or you want to buy a base model and pimp it at ARB or something like that, then this could be a really positive development. It's got 3.5 tonnes of tow capacity across the range as well, which is, I guess, consistent, although frankly, the concept of towing 3.5 tonnes in vehicles such as this is ridiculous. I think in conventional utes, you know, the kinds of utes that we're all used to seeing out there on the road, the popular ones, 2.5 tonnes is pretty much the maximum for practical towing. Obviously, if you want to cut a whole bunch of corners, then you can tow 3.5, but it really is dangerous, I think, when the weight of the trailer is substantially more than the weight of the vehicle towing it, because pig-type trailers in Australia rely on the inertial restraint. For inertial restraint, they rely on the vehicle doing the towing. And obviously, the amount of restraint that is possible is less and less when the trailer gets bigger and bigger relative to the vehicle in front of it. Okay, so that's just my 2 cents worth, and what would I know? I only sort of studied this stuff at university and wouldn't be seen dead towing more than 2.5 tonnes with any one of those conventional quote-unquote Japanese utes that never actually see the sunrise in the land of the rising sun, because they're all made in friggin' Thailand now, except the Amarok, which is made in South Africa. So there's that. The power outputs, importantly, and the peak torque are substantially below that of the Ford JJ3. That's the 3-litre 4-cylinder one, at the engine at the top of the range, or from the mid-range up kind of thing in both Mazda and Isuzu's ranges. And that's really important because neither of those companies would want to see the improvements in the base engine make it a contender to shop for it instead of the better engine. You know what I mean? So Just to put that in perspective, the 4JJ3 is 140 newton meters of peak power and 450 newton meters of peak torque. The new 2.2, just to reiterate, is 120 and 400. So the 4JJ3 is offering you 20 more kilowatts of peak power and 50 more newton meters of peak torque, which is 17% up on peak power and 13% up on peak torque. So there's still absolutely a reason to buy the 4JJ3 over and above the base model engine, even with this upgrade. That gap has shrunk a bit, but let's not forget a lot of the reason to end up with the 4JJ3 is that it comes packaged with just a much higher level of fruit. Now, on the economy front, Isuzu says, quote, with improved performance both off the line and at highway speeds, the inbound RZ4F engine is a decisive reiteration. Where do they think of this stuff? They trowel it on, don't they? Jesus. Of IUA's customer-led evolution. Isuzu Ute Australia. Delivering heightened engagement, who doesn't want that, while returning a combined cycle fuel economy from just 6.3 litres per 100 Ks. Now, those official figures obviously are just for comparison purposes. You should not hope to achieve them in reality. They're specified as well as the testing mechanism. They're done in a lab. The mechanism is laid out. It's standardised. It's all sort of formalised in a thing called ADR 8102, and it's okay for comparing this vehicle to that vehicle, particularly vehicles of similar size and intent, but you shouldn't say, well, I'm not getting that out on the highway, the car must be defective. A lot of people do. Anyway, it's interesting here because Isuzu quotes 6.3 litres per 100, but Mazda quotes in its release issued on the same day about the same thing. Mazda quotes 6.9 per 100 versus 7 for the 1.9. So I don't know why there is the disparity of about 8% in improvement. I don't get that. Maybe there's a mistake in the release, or maybe the model grades are different somehow in a way that I haven't been able to figure out. But anyway, there's a slight improvement in economy. Mazda says 183 grams of CO2 per kilometre versus 184. So yay planet on that one. That incidentally was quoted for the single cab chassis Mazda Shemax XS 4x2. What a freaking mouthful. Anyway, all car makers know how to trowel it on. Like, open an envelope and a car maker will get out the titanium trowel of editorial embellishment and talk it up like it's the second coming of the frickin' Messiah. Anyway, on this front, Isuzu says, quote, providing a pragmatic option. So it's not a new poverty engine, it's a pragmatic option for motorists who value reliability, affordability, and drivability. Like, dude, you're not a cheap bastard. You're just someone who values reliability, affordability, and drivability. They say, all 2.2-litre Isuzu Ute models will feature a new 8-speed automatic transmission. Translation there, we're killing the manual transmission. No matter how much you like shifting gears in your Isuzu, you can't do that anymore because we're not making that available. Quote, the updated drivetrain will be available in SX and X-Rider variants of the D-Max and in LS, M, LSU and LST variants of the MUX. So there you are, that's where it is across the range. They say, quote, testament to Isuzu's reputation for innovation and reliability, the 2.2-litre RZ4F engine is engineered to perform in a comprehensive range of conditions. Imagine that, engineering an engine in a ute to perform in a comprehensive range of conditions. Like, the car industry is global, so you might see one of these utes in, I don't know, eastern Siberia or something, where it's minus 30 outside, or the Simpson frickin' Desert, where it's plus 45. So, yeah, anyway, they say, quote, this is achieved by delivering smooth linear torque and power throughout the power band, inspiring confidence in all conditions. You can't deliver torque and without delivering power and Vicky Verka, dude. If the crankshaft is spinning, it's both. So there's that. Linear torque and power throughout the power band, inspiring confidence in all conditions. A key advantage for both D-Max and MUX customers, both on and off the road. We've got all the bases covered, haven't we? Jesus. The addition of the economical and smooth shifting 8-speed transmission further augments its efficiency, adding deftness. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want deftness in their poverty-packed shitbox ute? And a higher level of refinement to the brand's legendary reputation for durability, except when it comes to turbos in the 4JJ1 and bump steer, wearing out all those tyres prematurely. Aside from that, quote, the updated 2.2-litre engine arrives alongside a distinctive new colour option, Wolfram Grey Metallic. Imagine that. Available in a new shade of grey. Jesus, available in the 25.5 model year D-Max X-Rider specification and higher. The new power plant follows a remarkable period of growth for RUA, like remarkable, dude. The brand finished in the top 10 for annual Australian vehicle sales for the third consecutive time in 2024. A year in which the D-Max 1-ton ute was Australia's 4th best-selling vehicle overall. That's a message to Chris Bowen, by the way. This is what people want to buy, you parliamentarian dick. And yet we want to penalise companies for selling the vehicles that ordinary Australians actually want to buy, which is freaking disgraceful. And yet another example of governments adopting the role of our parents. I don't want the government pretending it's my mommy and daddy and telling me what I should buy. If it's my money, I want to buy the car that I want to buy. I'm funny like that. Anyway. Australia's 4th best-selling vehicle overall, despite the fact that it doesn't fit in the framework that Uncle Chris would like us all to embrace for the mythical ideal of net freaking zero, which is going to cost us trillions of dollars and is also unachievable. So there's that. Isuzu goes on. Says, the new 2.2-litre engine is an important step in our evolution. This is a quote from Junta Matsui, the cheese of IUA. Matsui-san goes on and says, it is the perfect complement in our lineup to our proven 3-litre power plant and will allow even more of our customers to unlock the best of the Australian life. He didn't say it like that. Australian lifestyle on their own terms with complete confidence in their Isuzu D-Max or MUX. He goes on and says, we are excited for both our loyal customers and those new to the brand to book a test drive where they can experience both engines for themselves. There you go. Matsui-san himself there. The only pro tip I'd give Matsui-san on that is you need 2 test drives, dude, to actually experience both engines. You can't just book a test drive and experience both power plants. Or if you can, you're a better test driver than me. Dude. Sumimasen. Mazda had something to say about its exciting new development, which was exactly the same, but we might as well get their perspective on it as well. They say, quote, previously only available as a 4x2 in the 1.9-litre, the new 2.2-litre engine can now also be specified as a 4x4 dual-cab chassis or dual-cab pickup, further enhancing its capability. The dual-cab pickup version also benefits from alloy wheels versus steel wheels for the rest of the BT-50 XS range. So you get your alloy wheels now with it if you buy a pickup. In addition, the proven 3-litre engine fitted to all XT model grades and above also now benefits from a new idle stop system. Who doesn't want that? Automatic engine shutdown when you stop. One of the most annoying features ever in all cars, which saves you fuck all fuel in practice, but it's got that. They go on and say, which quote, which can cut fuel consumption by as much as 11% by switching off the engine when the ute is stationary. Show me the person in practice who experiences any fucking reduction whatsoever, any noticeable reduction whatsoever when the engine shuts itself down at the lights. And that shitful restart, it should be illegal for car makers to add this system to their cars. They're just doing it to cheat the efficiency test in ADR 8102 and its equivalents around the world. And they're doing it because in those tests, the vehicles spend a substantial amount of time idling. And they're all in a competition to get a better number for that sticker on the windscreen. And who gives a crap if it's a shitful experience for you? Because you're just the bunny who's going to end up with the car at the end of the day. Jesus Christ. 11%, imagine that. If only it was that simple. They go on and say, elsewhere, XTR and GT 4x4 dual cab chassis models will now feature a tow bar as standard for even more practicality out in the field. And you know what? That is actually a worthwhile upgrade for a ute in particular, because they're practically all going to be towing something, somewhere, sometime, aren't they? So that's great. 2 thumbs up there, Mazda dudes, for that. The rest of the BT-50 model lineup is unchanged, blah, blah, blah. They say an expansive selection of Mazda genuine accessories are also offered for the She-Max range. Imagine that, sitting there across from the Ming Mole, expansively suggesting all those accessories, and you just go, like that, and you wonder how you manage to spend 10 grand on accessories. This is how dealerships do it, dude. This is one of the most successful sales and marketing initiatives the automotive industry has ever contrived. The Ming Mole, dude, so notoriously effective because one just melts in front of the Ming Mole. Saxophone holder, sure, I'll take 2. Kind of thing. An expansive selection of Mazda genuine accessories are also offered. It is also offered. A selection is offered. Accessories are offered. That's how this works. For the She-Max range, all with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty when fitted prior to delivery. Imagine that. You've got to buy them prior to delivery, because if you don't, you get exactly the same protections, only under Australian consumer law, which can't be negotiated away. You misrepresentative assholes, I'd suggest. It doesn't matter when you buy your accessories. Come back next month and meet the Ming Mole again. You know, you'll still get effectively the same protections. It just won't be warranty. It'll be consumer law. So there's that. Anyway, that's the new engine. I would not be lumbered. The thing to do now, the thing you got to be really careful about, okay, is don't front up at a Mazda dealership or an IUA dealership and sign on the dotted line for the outgoing old shitbox 1.9 unless you really don't care about the performance and the refinement and the upgrades and all of that stuff, because there'll be a much bigger depreciation hit on that car as soon as the 2.2 gets out of the block. So if you sign up for a 1.9 now and you don't care because, you know, one of your staff is going to drive it and you don't give a crap about its performance or refinement, they will have to give you an unbeatable price on it, because the depreciation hit is going to offset much of that discount up front. So if you're at the dealership and that engine is not available until the 1st of October, I'd be waiting for it, especially if it's going to be you sitting behind the wheel, because on balance, the upgrades are sufficient to justify waiting for that engine.